to manage the entire TIBCO infrastructure completely, and by the way, we are paid by the SLA, which means if we meet the SLA, we get paid. Otherwise, we get dinged for not meeting, and we have never had that problem. So we are pretty good with what we do and very confident at what we do. So let's talk about TIBCO practice-specific service offerings. On the right side, as you see, we have a Wiseman BTA, or Business Technology Alignment Framework, as we call it. This is basically a set of reusable artifacts and assets that helps us drive most of the services that you see on the left. Things like when you do architecture consulting, assessments, you have to be able to understand how requirements are written and driven, and we bring that as part of our methodology in terms of rather than having a silo saying business throwing a requirement doc to IT and IT says, okay, this is what we're going to code against, and there's always gaps and communication issues. We actually help model the process, model the information correctly that reduces any change requests, actually drastically. So our framework has a lot of assets such as decision-making tools. When do you want to do ETL versus or real-time versus batch, depending on how you want to integrate. Whether it's a data movement, data integration, data sharing. Is it more process-level integration? Is it more human-level interaction and integration? And so on. We have various reference architectures that our architects use to qualify the problems and apply the patterns, and we are pretty thorough and solid at that. This extensively helps us not only for architecture but for the development as well. Things like using B2B interface specs or SOA interface specs. It's not just about data goes in, data goes out, and defining that. We totally believe in information-based integration. Our interface specifications talk about the semantics, so the meaning of the data that goes in, goes out, the exceptions. But not only that, we also talk about the high availability needs of a service, which are pretty much driven by the business criticality, the business service criticality. So we actually go all the way from business capability, vision, mission statement, of course, but the business capabilities, the criticality, and then the IT services and the reusability and all the way down. So we drive it more from business point of view than just IT point of view. Infrastructure services, which is what we're going to talk in detail in this particular webinar. As I mentioned earlier, we have been managing extremely large infrastructures of large clients, 24/7, and managing all the way from hardware sizing capacity to set up infrastructure to do L1, L2, L3, monitor these things 24/7, and provide issue resolution for the TIBCO infra support. Just to be clear, a lot of companies say we do TIBCO support or TIBCO infra support. Many times there's a confusion or misconception being promoted that it means getting on a call and do the application type support. When we say we do TIBCO infra support, we actually mean managing, monitoring your TIBCO infrastructure, applying the patches, advisories, warnings, and all that, and not the application support. So we actually manage your TIBCO infra and let you worry about your cutting edge development, and we'll get you away from the worries of the TIBCO infrastructure. Managed services, that's the last piece. We'll talk about that more. It's basically we as a managed service, we handle a lot of the services such as migration, upgrades, which are where we are able to very clearly define the interfaces, clearly define the SLAs. Typically, it's in customers' best interest to hand those off as a managed service, and and pay by the contract, pay by the SLAs, pay by the services, and so on. These are the 4 high-level offerings that we're going to talk about today. Automated deployment framework of TIBCO projects, TIBCO infrastructure setup, DR assessment and setup service, and of course the managed services part. Let's talk about the Automated Deployment Framework, or ADF. Um, I hope most of these challenges are, you should be very familiar with. Uh, why are customers not doing complete end-to-end automated deployment, or why are they doing only partial, and some of them are not doing at all? That of course depends on the maturity. A lot of customers, when they are very low in the maturity, they're trying to get higher up in the maturity. So it's nothing to do with or how they use TIBCO or not, or any technology. It's that just the maturity level is low, and they're trying to move up the ladder on the maturity. Some of them do not either know how to do complete automation, or they just don't want to spend that much time and money and resources in managing the TIBCO administrator team to do this complete automation. So there are multiple reasons for not doing this, and some of them they do not know how to do complete end-to-end. They know some bits and pieces, or partially they are able to do automation, but not everything end-to-end. Um, Another problem we have seen repeatedly is, even if with all the good intentions that customer wants to do this in-house development, there's still no guarantee that at the end of all the investments they'll get the results guaranteed, right? So it definitely helps to work with a partner like us, who will bring the expertise on board, have done this repeatedly many places, and guarantee that at a known cost that the results are there, and it'll automate the entire environment end to end. So we provide these services on a fixed cost and time basis. On most typical and TIBCO environments, we have been able to do that in 12 weeks and 3 months, and that includes the training of clients, administrators. So some cases we have brought in to set this up completely end to end, and then after that point onwards, customers want themselves to use this framework and continue doing deployments. Some of them want us to continue doing the administration work, and of course, most of them, once they see how we work, retain us minimally for infrastructure support. And of course, our development customers with whom we do architecture and development, have us signed up also for the infrastructure with the quality and the commitment that we provide. So the ADF consists of all the pre-built set of scripts for multiple TIBCO products. I have that list on the next slide. Pre-built set of scripts that will automate all aspects of the deployment. End to end, what that means is going to automate getting stuff from your version control system automatically, build your archives, and then do the global variable replacements, anything that changes by the environment, and then do the deployment. And that's applicable to multiple of the products, not just the business works. So we support, this is a very comprehensive list. There are a few more products coming up, like Business Connect. Part of it is already available. That's going to come up as well. We support BusinessWorks, BE, AMX, BPM, MDM, and most of the adapters, since the architecture of the adapters, deployment architecture pretty much follows BW. As you can see, AMX, BPM, and MDM, these are fairly new products. MDM especially is fairly complicated product to support the automation. However, we have built a lot of groundwork has been already done for you guys. So if you have any need to do automation of MDM, definitely we should talk more. These are, and I completely understand. I'm pretty sure if any of you guys use MDM, you would know the what it takes to automate MDM environment deployment. But we have been doing that very successfully. Typical supported commands, of course: deploy, deploy, start, stop, delete, unload. All these commands are available after the initial implementation is done. What you get is all your environments, all your projects in all environments are completely automated for deployment, and the administrator would be able to use these commands to control these projects. Hawk rule basis is inbuilt. What that means is whenever a project is deployed, a process is deployed, hawk rules are automatically created to monitor if the process is running or not. If not, it will try to restart it and so on. And when you're doing your scheduled maintenance like deploying, undeploying, or stopping the projects, the rules are automatically disabled. So that's pre-built, that comes with this framework completely, and so does the version control repository. Today we support Subversion, but there are always hooks available for supporting other repositories such as ClearCase and so on. So how do we typically do it? As we said, 12 weeks for a typical environment. It may change for some clients, especially if their environment is extremely complex or extremely big. As you can see, initial time frame for first 5 weeks or so, you understand the needs, the requirements, the nuances of the environment, or the various aspects of the environment, and you do complete automation for a first environment, typically dev. It could be test as well, but the first environment. That's where bulk of the time goes. After that, it's pretty much repetition, much straightforward. Once you have figured out all the changes, all the different aspects of the environment, from week 6 to 9, it's all about remaining environments, and then there is a testing, deployments, training, and transition of knowledge. So by the end of 12 weeks, you're self-sufficient. We make sure of that. We also deliver the user guides along with this ADF. Typical cost, not many webinars you will see cost being displayed, but doing this from offshore in 12 weeks with everything included, as I said, guaranteed results and all these training guides and all that will usually cost you 20 grand. And we of course provide, you automatically qualify for additional discounts for TIBCO infra support services that we pretty much provide on all our services. If you sign up on one service, you get discounts on others as well. Let's talk about infrastructure setup service. So this service includes, what this covers is creating, managing, more than managing, I would say setup, configuration, installation of your entire TIBCO infrastructures. So what are the typical challenges that clients face in doing so? Again, they may not have enough in-house expertise who understand TIBCO products, or some of the TIBCO products pretty well. A lot of times they may not have the bandwidth to do this. Sometimes this is initial work where they need many people to do this completely end-to-end, and they don't need as many people to manage it on an ongoing basis. So there's a rise in demand, need of more resources as a spike, which is when you typically customers rely on external vendors with the right expertise like us. And then of course a lot of customers want to rely on their own teams for the cutting edge development and not worry about the TIBCO infrastructure management part of it. Our approach has been, since we have a lot of background, deep expertise on all aspects of TIBCO projects, architecture, design, architecture, implementation, and support. We are best positioned for even managing your TIBCO infrastructure. We are already doing that for tons of customers, so hence we are able to provide even shared services. I have some models I can show you a little later. As part of setting up your TIBCO environment, if needed, we also provide you capacity planning, hardware sizing recommendations, and obviously we also do monitoring, apply our monitoring best practices and bring up your bring up your entire environment. So how do we do it? We have a questionnaire that we will send you to understand the complexity of the environment or proposed environment. that you want to bring up, and that helps us give you a proposal on how long typically it would take end to end to bring everything up. We also do a 2 to 4 weeks, again depending on your complexity, 2 to 4 weeks TIBCO infra assessment workshop. I shouldn't say just assessment. This is actually assessment and recommend. Okay, I have recommendation already. Sorry. So assessment and recommendation workshop, where we deliver your TIBCO infrastructure system architecture document, and if needed, along with the hardware sizing. So what you have is a infrastructure system architecture document that the admin team can take and build the environment. If you continue to choose to work with us, we'll of course continue and bring up your entire TIBCO environment based on the system architecture, installation of all products with the latest patches, and making sure the right security patches are applied as well. Hawk and automated deployment, the ADF that we talked about as well, if that's the need at that time. If you already have some kind of framework, or you choose to go with what you have and just want to bring up the environment, that's fine too. And since these are some of the variables, however, we absolutely do fixed cost on-site offshore models, so upfront how much you're investing in bringing up these environments, and this helps the customers because these are one-time things, not ongoing expenses. So it's definitely relying on a partner who will do this at a certain fixed cost helps. I don't want to repeat myself with this last point. Any service you choose, you sign up, it qualifies you for additional discounts on other services. Let's talk about disaster recovery assessment service. Disaster recovery has been a big, this is a big topic, especially when it comes to managing and doing disaster recovery of a middleware piece that you pretty much don't see, from businesses don't see. It becomes very important that no pieces are left behind in your DR strategy. Again, a lot of times customers have challenges managing TIBCO infrastructure DR strategy because they are not clear on how it fits in the overall picture, or or sometimes, or a lot of times it's completely afterthought, or they don't have the right experience to do this end-to-end strategy, or even right experience to do the testing of the entire DR. So again, all our combined experience of all phases definitely helps us. We have implemented DR strategies for some very large clients, for TIBCO and other middleware technologies as well. And we have helped them doing end-to-end testing of the drills. And the reason we are saying help, because you don't do DR testing of a particular piece of the puzzle. You have to do it for end-to-end, the entire business solution. Not all business applications may qualify to be part of DR. It needs to be part of the business continuity plan, and accordingly you need to derive and understand what kind of testing strategy you have to do, and then include only those pieces in the testing strategy and those middleware pieces in the testing strategy. So we have done this many times with our customers, and we have TIBCO infrastructure architects and administrators with us who would implement the DR strategies for you. So again, for this, everything we do, we have a methodology that the Wiseman Business Technology Alignment methodology that we use. It has a lot of these templates. So we use these templates. The questionnaire comes from that methodology as well. That helps us understand the complexity of the environment. And this is especially the DR questionnaire. This is not just the IT questionnaire. It talks about business applications, business availability, business continuity plans, and so on and so forth. But that gives us clear idea on helping put together a proposal on how we can do the TIBCO DR setup and the testing for you. We have also done some assessment type services where customers just they have a DR strategy in place. They just want us to do the assessment and provide a gap analysis document and recommendations on how those gaps can be or the risk can be mitigated. The development of the DR, excuse me, strategy is typically done on time and material basis and uh, not on fixed cost. Uh, just the development of strategy can be done in fixed cost, but when you want to do complete end-to-end testing and the drill and all that, it takes a lot more to do coordination. It's a lot of coordination work. As if you guys have done that, you would know what I'm talking about. So it's definitely a long-term planning and long-term work. Uh, so hence, a lot of times it's more of a time and material thing. But once we understand, based on the questionnaire, once we understand what kind of DR strategy or how much help you need, we can definitely talk about different pricing models. Let's talk about TIBCO infrastructure managed services. So by definition, managed services are the services where you are able to where you consider those as non-core or contextual services where you're able to uh, where you are held responsible to maintain certain SLAs, where you're able to clearly define certain handshakes and interfaces. It becomes much easier to hand over that particular deliverable to a partner, and you would call that as a managed service. And again, we have been doing that for numerous years. So the key challenge is why companies are doing it, because one, they shift the risk of delivering those by certain specifications, by certain SLAs to a partner who has the capabilities, right? Um, the customers may not have have the in-house expertise, or it's not even considered a core. If you guys follow core versus context methodology and the modeling, again, we understand and follow that. So if it's not a core area, then definitely you want to leave it to the partner who will manage that service end to end. Needless to say, with our deep TIBCO background, definitely best positioned to handle all these. A lot of times the demand is sudden, short-lived, unpredictable, and we provide very, very flexible models to manage that spikes in the demand. Big aspect here, the problem is knowledge sharing, knowledge retention, and the maturity. These are the typically areas that haunt customers, and these are the areas that makes it very difficult for some customers to give out managed services. But these are definitely some of the challenges we are good at tackling and providing solutions on. We have helped our customers improve their IT maturity or maturity as an organization. So a lot of times we have had conversations where they're absolutely happy to engage us on managed services, on some of the infrastructure services. However, their maturity was very, very low, almost like CMMI level 1. So we have helped them bring up that maturity, kind of solidify their processes, and be at a point where they are able to move things out which are contextual, not core for them. So we have excellent knowledge of the entire SDLC process and the maturity model to help our customers with that. We also own the entire problem end to end, in the sense if you are managing the TIBCO infrastructure, and if the dependencies such as databases, things that TIBCO needs to run smoothly, we work very, very proactively on those areas. In fact, we have database upgrades and monitoring services ourselves, but we are very proactive. We go that extra mile to make sure we are covered completely end to end on the areas that we have committed on. Flexible shared service plans, because customers may not have a complete need of full-time monitoring, full-time infrastructure services, and so on. So we have very on-demand kind of or flexible shared services plans as well. Happy to note here that we have extremely high rated, very high score of past 5 years, LPN development 4.75 out of 5, which is rated very high, and 100% on L1 and L2. This is derived from our last 5 years of performance, and all these our payments are tied to meeting these SLAs. Here are some of the TIBCO infrastructure managed services we offer. First bullet point, no surprises there. Entire TIBCO infrastructure support, proactive support. There are various models that we can talk and share later on if you have the interest in terms of the timelines and timings. We also integrate with other products such as OpenView and RTView and so on. Migrations and upgrades. Some of our customers need help on major version migration upgrades. Last time it was a lot around Business Connect when there was a movement from Spec Builder to Foresight. So we worked on some of those as well. CBeyond to TIBCO migration, we do that all the time. We still have some CBeyond customers and who are in the middle of migrating to TIBCO. So we manage that as a managed service. We do that as a managed service as well. Just monitoring setup has been a popular service as well. And of course, infrastructure installation, which I've already covered. So some of these are also run as a managed service or as a separate service. With that, I have covered everything I wanted to cover. I hope you guys have posted some questions. I'll hand it over to Saurabh to go over some of those questions, and I'll be absolutely happy to answer those as detailed as possible. Saurabh?
Thanks, Vinayak. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, everybody, for listening to us patiently. Now, I will open the line for question and answer. So you are free to ask questions to Vinayak. All right, assuming there are no questions from the forum. Vinayak, there are certain questions which I have received through chat.
Okay.
The first one is about automated deployment. Now, the question is, what do you consider a typical size of a TIBCO environment to be able to complete automation in 12 weeks?
Yeah, so when we say most typical TIBCO environments, we do automation in 12 weeks. So definitely there's some thought put behind this. A typical TIBCO environment would be about 4 environments, dev, test, or QA, pre-prod, prod. With each one has about 20 engines. 20 engines would be any engine, BW, BE, adapters, and so on, across 4 boxes. So that's the scale we are looking at, which is fairly generous and very typical, little on higher side, I would say. So we cover that. We are able to do all that automation in 12 weeks.
Great. Thank you, Vinayak. The next question is about TIBCO infrastructure setup. The question is, what type of information is